Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, where we drink the finest whiskey and we argue about the internet's most important topics. With each topic, we've picked a side. And even if we don't agree with that side, we're gonna die on this hill. So you hear us out and tell us why we're wrong. Today, I have someone very special on this show. I didn't like having Greg here, so I just kicked him out. He's gone forever. So we have Grand Master Jared Clanton. Jared is 22 years old and has made his way through the ranks of USPSA to become a Grand Master in carry optics. So I think that's really impressive, and today we're going to do a little bit of an interview with him and ask him about the sport, and we're going to see what his experience is with it, and then we're going to argue about why he thinks that's good for defensive carry and why I think that's trash. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our topic. So you know a lot more about this than I do. As we saw last week, it's my first time shooting any sort of USPSA shoot, and because of that, I'm going to ask you to explain to me and our audience what USPSA is and a little bit about it.
Yeah, so USPSA is pretty much just like running and gunning with a handgun. It's not a 2-gun or 3-gun where you're using rifle, shotgun, pistol. This is strictly just handgun. Actually, they do have PCC now, but it's strictly just handgun.
Pistol guns.
Yeah, exactly. You're just running and gunning a course of fire. You're timed on it, and then you're shooting for points. So it's not like IDPA where you're going to get penalized for time if you miss or anything like that. You get say it's a stage 100 points. You shoot 90% of those points. You get 90, then divided by your time. So it's a hybrid of this like speed versus accuracy. And to see if you can crush your competition in that aspect. You get a hit factor from it, and then it's pretty much balancing the speed and accuracy, the efficiency of it.
And then you mentioned that you were in the carry optics class.
Yes.
What are the classes, and then how do you go from whatever the first one is all the way to the last one?
So there's, are you talking about like divisions or classes?
Well, tell me. I don't know. I didn't know there was even divisions.
So like carry optics, open, limited, production, and I guess there's single sack revolver, limited 10, and all of those.
So there's different divisions, and then
and within those, then you get like 4 or 5 classifications. So you get D class, C class, B class, A class, M, and GM. So each of those, to progress through those classes, you have to shoot classifiers. Classifiers are like a nationwide stage that when you set it up, you have to do everything dimensionally and make sure it's the exact same from place to place.
That's amazing.
And then, so usually they put one of those stages on it like a nationals, and then all the good guys shoot it, so they can get like a standing from what they are. And then you can shoot those, and whatever percentage you get of the people that shot it at nationals is your classification. So for like A class, it's 75 to 84.9%, and then M, so you have to shoot 75 to 85% of the best who shot it at nationals.
Gotcha.
And then GM is 95 to 100. M's, I think, 85 to 95. I mean,
that's
it just kind
fascinating.
of keeps going down from there.
I didn't realize that's how it's called classifying.
So you shoot classifiers to get classified.
I didn't realize that's how they classified people, was a percentage of the overall.
It's pretty much a standardized test. So there's no, like, most classifiers, there's not a whole lot of moving. It's mostly like standing still and shooting, reloading. Like there's some strong hand, weak hand stuff. It's all like, if you do move, it's box to box moving type deal. There's a new classifier that came out this year that was a little bit bigger. I think it was like 24 rounds, and it was actually like a big open space that you could actually run around. It was a hose fest pretty much. But yeah, it's pretty much like standardized testing in high school is what it is.
That's amazing.
So it doesn't really tell you how good of a shooter you are. It just tells you how good you could be.
That's very cool. So it's you could be this cool.
You could be this good.
You could be the best of the best. Kind of how I think this is the best of the best. And since Greg's not here, I get to choose the whiskey. Dude, this is called 1776, by the way. I'd like you to taste it and tell me what you think about it. And then I'm going to go ahead and ask you the next question. What do you think? It's really oaky, so.
It is. It's like that. Like that double oak Woodford Reserve.
It is yes, it is just like that.
Yes.
So I like him already. So the next question I kind of have for you is, I want to know about your progression through the USPSA classifications, and also why you chose carry optics instead of open or what's some of the lower?
Yeah, limited is an iron. Yeah, so open and carry optics are the only ones that you can have optics. So that was a big reason why I did it.
Okay.
I started off shooting the gun that I carried, and I don't think I actually shot. I shot from concealed a couple times when I started. But then I bought an outside waistband belt and stuff like that and progressed through there. But about a year and a half ago, the beginning of last year, I shot my first. So they actually had a classifier match. So it was 6 stages of all classifiers because it was leading up to a major match that we had. So that was my first time actually shooting carry optics in USPSA, like for real. Like a couple matches before, I think I shot 2 before that. I was shooting open because I had a magwell and a compensator, like a Roland special on my.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was shooting open then and didn't really take it serious. It was just me and a couple buddies going out there and shooting. And then that classifier match was like, okay, let's see how good I could actually get. Classified as an A, on high A. Like I was at 94.8%, so almost M.
Oh, okay.
And that was the point that I realized, like, hey, I could actually do something.
I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah. So shot that major. First major, like super nervous. I think I placed like 12th or 13th out of like 100 guys. So I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. And then after that, it just was downhill. I mean, I just started going to major to major to major. I guess not really downhill, uphill.
Uphill. You went uphill.
It was a snowball rolling downhill.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I shot 12 majors last year, went to nationals, placed top 50 at nationals, so that was cool. I did worse than I wanted to, but we're going to do it again this year. I'm shooting 14 or 15 majors this year. So
So how many? So in order to, do you have to maintain a certain number of to maintain your Grand Master classification?
You do not actually, and that's a debatable question as well. So once you make GM, you cannot lose it.
It is yours to keep.
It is yours to keep.
Even if you perform less than
correct.
That?
Yep. So I think the rule is if you get like, so say you're at 98% or whatever. If you get 20% below that, so you shoot like a 68, that doesn't even get, it just like get thrown away almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can't hurt you. If it's, I want to say it's 20%. It might be 10. I want to say it's 20 though.
Okay.
But say you get like a 88, that can hurt you, and you can drop down below that 95. You still keep your GM, but you're below 95.
But now you're in the 87th percentile or whatever it might be.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. But you're still a Grand Master. But you're in the 87th percentile of all shooters, so you're really not. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the whole classification system because I don't think it really shows you who a person is as a shooter because it's all stationary shooting. Like it's all fundamental shooting, yes, but there's no movement like and stuff like that.
Which is, as we saw last time, one of the most important parts of the whole sport is how efficiently do you move.
Yep, exactly.
And then accuracy really comes secondary in my experience. So that's pretty fascinating. And so your progression, you started out high A's.
Yep.
And then you started running a bunch of these classifiers.
Yep.
And every time you got a classifier, you started pumping that number up, and then you made, so it goes, what is it, A, and then you go to Master next?
Yep, went to Master. I want to say I was at that A point for like a month or two, and then I made it into Master.
Okay. And how old are you at this point?
I was 21.
21?
Yeah, 21. I might have just been turning 22 because it was around that August time point. And then that jump from Master to GM is a big jump because you're going from 85 to 90, like 94.5 or whatever. Right. That 10% is a big jump because that separates like boys from the men pretty much, like in reality from that.
Okay.
And I struggled. I didn't struggle. I plateaued a lot is what I felt like. I felt like I couldn't get any better, so I'd take a break.
Dude,
start again.
That is a perfect lead up to my next question, which I think you already knew. And it is, what are some of the challenges that you faced in your progression, and then how do you overcome them? So how do you overcome your plateau effect?
Yeah, so you have to just step back and realize, like, look, you can't work 7 days a week for like 2 hours a day at it. Like it's the same thing with working out. Like you can't go to the gym for 2 hours every single day and expect your body to be healthy. Like you have to have rest days, right? Mm-hmm. So that was one of the big things that I learned. Like I'd put the gun down for 2 or 3 days and not touch it at all.
Okay.
I'd watch film and stuff like that, like watch myself or watch other people shoot.
Right. Keep your mind in it.
Exactly.
But not your body.
Yeah, because you just get frustrated with yourself is all you do. And then you just start going downhill even faster. Like as soon as you get frustrated, you got to stop because you're not going to get anywhere past that. Like
that's cool.
We're in reloads or something like that. Like,
so your solution for getting on a plateau is actually to just take a little break.
I take breaks. Yep. I take like I take 2 or 3, like after majors, I'll take like a 2 or 3 day break.
Okay.
Just to not touch a gun, think about what happened,
reset your body.
Watch all the film over and over and over again. Be like, okay, I need to work on my vision. Okay, I need to work on some skill. So that next day, I'll dry fire it or I'll go shoot it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
And dry fire is a big deal. Like, I spent a lot of time dry firing, especially the end of last year. The end of last year. This year, I haven't dry fired as much just because I don't think I get as much from it anymore.
You think you have diminishing returns on dry fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 15, 30 minutes a day, that's pretty much what I do now. I don't do the whole hour long deal. I dry fired a lot when I started.
That sounds like an hour long.
And you have to. Like, well, you don't have to by any means. But if you want to get good at something real quick, it's just practicing it. And dry fire is free.
Straight feet first immersion into the pool.
Yep, exactly.
So now that you've shot this stuff, you're like, I'm good at this.
Yep.
You've decided that you're going to put some mind effort and body effort into it. How do you pay for all this? Because it's bullets isn't cheap. We all know ammo is insane.
Yep.
We know that guns aren't cheap. We know that travel isn't cheap because these aren't just like localized matches you're going to. So what did you do to help fund this?
Yep. So last year, I was super thankful that my parents helped me a lot last year. That was something that they wanted me to do, and they saw that I enjoyed it and liked it. I was still in college, so they're like, "Yeah, we'll help you through it last year." And then since October of last year, I started working. Well, I was working then too, but full-time working because I graduated in December. So I've been working the last like 4 months pretty hard to save money for this next like 4-month journey pretty much because I'm not working right now. I might pick up a part-time job because I'm going to be bored. And because during the weeks like I can dry fire and stuff like that, but that's 15, 30 minutes.
You're at a high tempo when you're in college.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to class, go to work, go to class,
Now I got nothing because I was used to working. I was working overnights and stuff like that. So I'd sleep till 11, go shoot or dry fire, and then go back to work again.
So you didn't mention this earlier, but not only is he hitting up all these classifiers, and progressing to that, he's also going to college.
Yep.
So you're
learning
an entirely. What was your degree again?
Animal science.
He's learning animal science and trying to become a Grand Master, and he achieved both tasks.
I did.
So that says something about
somehow I don't know
tenacity,
how I did it, but I did it.
So you did that. You're living with your parents helping you out, and then you decided to get a job.
Yep.
And then once you've gotten this job, you're putting all of your resources into
shooting.
You rent a place, and you're like, I'm going to be Grand Master and continue to do this.
Yep, exactly.
And then you said you were working on sponsorships, right?
Yep. So I'm working on sponsorships. So sponsored by Ruben's Reloading. So he helps me out a lot. And then a couple of smaller companies like Monsoon Tactical helped with all my gun work. And then there's a guy up in Kansas City, Stonebridge Gun Works, Vincent. He's been super helpful with me getting my gun run and stuff like that.
So your 3 sponsors are?
Yeah, so I got a couple. Yeah, I got Ruben's Reloading, which is down in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Monsoon Tactical, which is up here.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yep, and then Vincent, Stonebridge Gunworks down in Kansas City. And then I've got Gun Butter with me too, which is an oil company.
Gun Butter.
Yep.
I've actually started follling them recently.
Yeah, no,
on Instagram.
Great stuff.
Probably because of you.
Probably.
So
yep, it's great stuff.
And then you mentioned?
Yep, Chalk. Iron American.
Iron American. What do they do?
Yeah, so they make chalk. It's probably some of the better stuff that I have used before. It's cheaper than like the pro grip that everybody else uses. Okay. I know you said you were making some of your own. So
yeah,
that's
just
cool.
Playing with it.
And a lot of
everything that you're focusing on is helping you in your matches.
Yep.
Chalk. What's the point in chalk?
Grip. I mean, I sweat like a pig.
That's sweet. Like having Monsoon do gun work. What's the point in that?
Yeah, so I can have a slide-ridden optic, framework for grip again, and it looks cool too.
We all know the point in ammo.
Yep.
And having somebody to supply that is a big win for you.
Yeah, no, and John Luke over at Rubens is phenomenal. He's an amazing guy.
That's awesome. And then I'm missing one supplier here. I know there was...
and Gun Butter. But Stonebridge Gunworks.
Yes, Gunworks. Gotcha.
Yep. So he's the one that makes the backstrap on the P10F. He's the
which was all brass, by the way.
Yep.
Right?
It's brass.
That's
so
cool.
It's amazing. It balances the gun out completely different than a stock P10, especially if you throw a tungsten guide rod in it, which he just made a new one for the P10F. So he's a good guy up there too. He does a lot of stuff for P10s and Canics.
That's awesome. So really, you're working.
Yep.
To pay for stuff, and you're gathering sponsors, and you're also pushing their product, which is another job in itself.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I'm not gonna not that I won't support them, but I'm not gonna like mention them if their stuff isn't what I enjoy using.
Right, because you're using it.
Exactly.
And we know because we shot with him, and everything we were looking at, it's like, oh, who did that? Oh, that's cool. Who did that?
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I believe in all of them.
Now, what about, we talked about gear, we talked about dry practice.
Yep.
What about like training? Did you learn this from anybody else?
Yeah, so the only formal training I've ever had was actually at Ohio Range Day with Joe Farrell. That was the only thing that I really had. And I'm not saying I didn't learn anything from him because that was towards the end of the year. I was a master then.
Felt a bit like review.
It was review, but I definitely took things from him.
Okay,
like things that I learned when I started and forgot about.
And Ohio Range Day isn't
it's not a class.
An all-encompassing class. It's a taste of classes for people.
Exactly.
And so you got 2 days with him?
No, I had 1 day with him, and then I was with Phil the other day.
With Phil, okay. So you got 1 day with him. And so do you think that since you've had a taste of this, do you think training is something you're ever going to pursue?
I have mixed feelings about it. Yes and no. Yes, I think it's great if you have the disposable income for it.
Okay.
I also think there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube.
There is, absolutely.
A lot.
Yeah.
Like Ben Steger has 3 or 4 hour-and-a-half long videos of his class pretty much on there, which he's a phenomenal USPSA shooter if you guys don't know him. He's probably one of the best production shooters in the world.
Okay.
And he's a phenomenal guy. And it goes through his whole class. Everything except for the students shooting.
Wow.
There's like probably 4.5, 5 hours of it. I've watched those probably 6 times in the last couple months because there's a lot of things you can get from them.
So my next question I didn't tell you about, so I'm going to spring this on you. Do you think at any point in time you'll ever start training people to shoot USPSA?
Yes, I would love to.
That's in your plans?
Yes, I absolutely would love to start teaching.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've hung up a couple flyers in the local gun shop saying that, and I put some on Instagram too. I've had a couple people hit me up about it, but teaching is something I really want to do. I enjoy teaching people things and seeing them learn new things.
Right.
Is the thing.
Absolutely.
Like the smiling on their face. And if I'm teaching them something that can possibly save their life, that's even better. Because in the end, like we all got started. If you talk to anybody that shoots competitively, most of them will say they started because they wanted to shoot better for self-defense.
Sure.
85, 90% of the people will tell you
Interesting you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because that is the topic for today.
It is.
And it seems that you think that shooting this game that is USPSA
it's pretty much a game.
Is going to help you become a better defensive shooter. Yeah. And I think that's a load of baloney. So why don't we argue that today?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go first.
Yep.
Gives you a chance to take a breather. You've been talking for a while.
Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and throw at you 3 things that I think doing this game is going to make you kind of a worse defensive shooter. So my first point is, have you ever watched a match? What is like the first thing they end up doing is having to load and make their gun ready. And then these guys will be like, pow, and then they just start unloading their gun. And I think that's a terrible habit to get into because the last thing you want to do is shoot a bad guy, take all the bullets out of your gun, making it useless, and then decide there's another bad guy there. So I think as my first point, I would say, that is a bad habit that they always make you get into. My second thing that I think is poor about USPSA is like when you watch a SWAT team enter a house or you watch a guy who's got to clear his home to save his family, he isn't like running out in the middle of the hallway like, whoosh, and then moving on. Like he takes the time, he makes sure he pies his corner correctly. And I think getting into this habit of just darting out into a threshold and looking for your target, shoot and run away, like that's a terrible habit to get into. You want to use tactics. And so as my second point, and my third point, right, is the sport punishes you for shooting better guns. Like, they're like, no. If you've got porting, you have to be an open class and compete against $10,000 guns with your $400 gun with the machine cut on it. So I really disagree with that. So those are my 3 points why I think doing this sport is going to actually put bad habits into your defensive training. What do you got to say about that?
All right. Well, we're going to hit all of those real quick.
Okay.
So going back to like the tactic side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing that everybody talks about, right?
Okay.
No one's going to... If you're shooting a match, yes, you don't have to pie any corners or anything like that, right? But what you're doing is working on footwork. And if you're going to pie corners fast like the SWAT guys and everybody you see do, look at their footwork. Their
Right.
footwork is impeccable.
Okay.
Because they're not tripping over each other and they're not tripping over themselves.
That's true.
And they got to
Yes.
learn footwork somehow. And that's what USPSA is heavy on, is footwork.
And when they do trip over themselves, we all get to watch it in a YouTube video.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, pretty interesting.
So that one. Two, the gun handling experience that you have, because you're shooting like 125 rounds at like a local match.
Sure.
So that's 125 rounds that you could have shot at a static indoor range, right? But now you get to shoot 125 rounds, moving and shooting, reloading and stuff like that, drawing from a holster. You get a lot. You get a lot more like gun handling experience while you're shooting a match, rather than just going to an indoor range and shooting 125 rounds or whatever. And the other one is stress, shooting under stress. Because
there's a little stress in that.
Yeah, there is for sure. You go to your first match and you step up to the first stage, you're going to be nervous.
Interesting.
I still get nervous at majors all the time. First stage jitters is a real thing. Oh yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same amount of adrenaline dump that you're going to have in a self-defense situation. Like if something happens at a gas station or something like that, you're going to get that dump of adrenaline just like you get on that first stage. So
pretty interesting.
I'm a big believer in it. Yes, the tactics side is the big reason why people don't shoot it, and I think that's kind of silly, because you get a lot of moving and shooting, and you get to learn what to do and what not to do. Getting off the X that everybody talks about, like point one tactics, cold start drill. You're moving forward, you're getting off the X. I'm sure there's other ones out there where you're moving side to side and stuff like that. That's what USPSA is. You're rarely ever standing still unless it's a classifier.
So that's pretty interesting you have that point of view. And I really want to know what your point of view is. Is plain old Dusty right? Or is Grand Master Jared right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And I have to say, I don't agree. Just saying.
Oh, I don't know.
Actually, in real life, I do agree. I do think you should check it out. Because I just shot some earlier today, which you probably saw in earlier films. And just my improvement in movement was...
You dropped by like 12 seconds, 10, 12 seconds.
I learned a little bit of efficiency in motion. So
efficiency, it's a big word.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate it. I think he appreciates it. Yes. And we worked pretty hard to putting this together beforehand. We spent literally minutes putting together this thing. So if you could, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. And also, where can they go check you out at?
Yeah, so I'm only on Instagram, really. So I've got two profiles because Instagram's doing their thing on my other one right now. So
nice.
Yeah, Official Clanton Shooting is the new one, and then Jared Clanton 7 is my old one. I'm still posting on both of them, but I'm trying to transition to the new one. So
Greg, when he edits this, we'll probably put that down below. So thank you once again, and cheers.
Thank you.